Fiber Arts. Today we're going to pick up where we left off after part one last week, where we blended Finn's black fur, and today that was the 70 dog fur to 30% merino, and today we are going to do the 50% dog hair, 50% merino, and make a bat out of that, and we'll go from there. First thing I'm going to do is just run this through the drum carder and blend it together a little bit, and then we'll blend these two colors together. I have a total of I think 107 grams. This would be 214 grams total, 50-50. So I am going to do half of this at a time. So we'll get that divided up and we'll see you at the carder. You may have noticed that I did not clean my drum carder from the last pass, which is the all black dog fur. We also learned that it works a little better if I put them in kind of perpendicular instead of necessarily floofing. I mean, I'm opening them up a little bit here. I definitely don't need to use any sort of a comb or anything like that to get these opened. And again, if you remember from last week, this might stick to my liquor in quite a bit in the beginning here, but as we progress along, it'll get less and less. I have to tell you, I was so excited with that Finn bat last week. It was all I could do to just not skip this part and go straight to spinning it. But we're going to do this part first. And then we will spin both of them so we can see in the same video the difference between the, so we can see the difference between the 70-30 and the 50-50 blend. And remember, we're not worried about that on the liquor end because it's going to catch and other stuff is going to get on there, and then it's going to transfer over to the drum. I have this thing with my son. I keep telling him to close the garage door when he leaves. He does not have a garage door opener, but he does have the key to the side garage door, so he can come in that way. It's very easy. It's not super challenging for him. And he just doesn't do what I ask him to do. So today I came home and there was a bird flying in our garage and I freaked out. And now he's out there trying to get the bird out of the garage. He has a bad habit of leaving our door open. We found a nest in there this spring and I was so mad because the poor birds, you know, it gets hot in our garage and they get trapped when we close the door, and the door should be closed unless we're coming or going, and we leave it open and we don't know, and he comes home late and it's open all night. Not cool. So I wanted to make sure that bird got to safety. I think I'm noticing a trend here that the white is sort of sticking to the liquor end, so I'm hoping I'm just going to fit it all in here and it will end up being transporting the white from the liquor end to the drum. I do think that that's what's going to happen. Just might take some more passes to get it there. Sometimes I go like this and try to pick some of it up off the carder. That's not an official technique, that's just something I sometimes will do if I think I can get it without making too big of a mess. So I'm going to keep doing this because this is nothing new or exciting here. The exciting part's going to be what do we get at the end. And I will check back with you here and we'll show you what it looks like after we go through one pass. You know, our full pure dog hair bat. And then we'll go again, then we'll blend it twice more. So I'm going to run it through 3 times total. So this first time here, kind of to blend the dog hair together, the black and white, and then I'm going to blend the white with the dog hair back, and I'm going to run that through twice to get it nice and homogenized. Although I hope there'll be a little bit of streaking in it, because I always think that looks cool. You can see how it looks so far. It looks pretty cool. You're getting some of the white in there. I like it. You know, a lot of the white are these short little shortcuts, probably because where the white was located on his body. It was mostly on his head, his chest, and his legs. So we'll see. I have some open spots here on this, so my bat isn't going to be the perfect looking because I didn't fill it the whole way across. But it will be exactly what we need to get this blending started. So let's take this off of here. So I'm just going to rotate this so that my doffer strip is at the top right here. And then I'm going to come through like this. Again, this should be pretty quick because it's very thin. There's not a lot of layer on here. All right. Just kind of pull this back a little bit here for us, making sure we're good. All right. And I like to use the bat lifter for this. They make a short one too. If you have a regular, this is from Clemmis and Clemmis, and I do have the short ones here. So they make little short ones for the standard size, which are kind of cool. I just don't have the standard size piece of wood, so. But I never used one on my regular drum carder. The only reason I got it for this one was because I couldn't, it was too wide for me to put my hand to pull everything off, so I decided to go with this. I'm glad I did. It's actually really awesome. And I like the way this is still a little bit streaky. I think the white is going to blend really well with the other white. Trying to keep every little bit here since I don't have that much. All right. Always put your doffer away. This thing is lethal. Lethal. It will stab the bejeepers out of you. Just throw that down there. Oh yeah, this looks cool. Look at that. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be so amazing. I wish I had more of just all the black and white together. Ooh. This looks so awesome. Oh my gosh. So here we have the first pass. So this is still a little on the rough side as far as blending goes, but I'm really excited. We could even see a little bit of the brown. That's not the table shining through right here. So there's a little time, here's some of the brown right here. Looks pretty good. And we'll just see what the other side of this looks like, which I think it looks pretty darn similar. Oh, look at that. That looks pretty cool. Kind of like a black and white watercolor painting with a tiny bit of brown in there. Right there, some brown. So let's get this on the drum carder and we're gonna blend it. So I have the 53 grams of the base here, the Rambouillet that we are using. Let me get these tools out of the way here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with this Rambouillet, and I'm going to put down like a little base layer here, and you'll see the method to my madness in just a minute. The downside to white is it's hard to tell where it is on my drum carder because the carding cloth is white. So what I'm going to do is rip this off in strips. I am going to add a little more per each layer because before I was only doing 30%, so I'm going to need to do just the same amount of this as the fin hair, fin fur. Magic with this one is I'm going to pull it off in pieces and then put it perpendicular to the pins. So, we usually feed it in this way. I'm feeding it in this way so it will open it up a little more, spread it on there a little better, give us a little better disbursement of the color. And for those of you watching at home, I did not make that up. That is a known technique. Sometimes I try things and do them on my own, and I'm like, oh, this works well. But this one is actually something that I learned in class. Sometimes this wool will take that wool right off the wicker end. So let's see if that works for me here. Kind of open this up nice and light and airy here because I don't want it to bind up my drum here. It's going to add a lot of nice memory to this yarn. Alright, let's see here. Let's push it on. Next weekend, sorry, I was like mesmerized by this. Next weekend is the Maryland Alpaca Festival on Saturday and Sunday, so I will be there. One of the vendors that does my Turkish spindle shepherd's woodworking will be there, and he now has yarn bowls, and I really want to see them in person, and I'll probably come away with one because I do love the wood bowls. I don't use them for knitting. I use them to hold the fiber runs down. I love it. Works really well for me. I also really love this one, which I got at the Sheep and Wool 2 years ago, or one, not this past me, but the one before. But they weren't there. I specifically looked for them this past year, and they weren't there, so I was a little bummed. Maybe they'll be at Sheep and Wool, or maybe they'll be at the Alpaca Festival next weekend, because I would get another one of those too. I'm gonna stop this drum here in a second and see what it looks like. So here is what it's looking like. Oh, I think it's looking good. Now, obviously, the white, I just put the white on, so it's going to look more solid in this phase. But when we run it through the second time, it'll have more blending. But I'm really loving it, and it looks like I'm doing a pretty even job of coverage, which is also good. So I'm going to keep loading this up as is here, and then we'll be back to take this bat off and take a look at it. This is looking quite awesome. Check this out. I like the way it looks. Looking good here, feels pretty even. So let's take this off. Again, I'm making sure to get every strand out. This is going to take a little longer to get across because it's thicker now. All right, let's make sure this is all a little thread there. Little fiber there. All right, let's get this off of here. Now we're gonna see a lot more spraying in this. All right. Oh, this is looking so cool. Oh, I love it. So we're gonna get this through though one more time and get it a little more homogenized here. It's looking very good. And I can tell you already it has a lot more volume than the other one, and that is the 50% Rambouillet. So this is going to be a great comparison. We'll get to see the difference between the 50% using Rambouillet and the 30% of Merino. So here we have, this is the finished side, and this was the drum side. You remember this is gonna look a little more weight because this was the base that I put down onto the drum carder. So what we're gonna do now is I'm just gonna rip this into strips and run it through. And just so you know, I am not cleaning my drum carder in between. I don't think you need to. I'm using the same fibers over and over again, so I'm not really doing much. I mean, I guess you could probably take some of these little shortcuts off of here. You don't really have to. You don't have to. I'm sort of a meticulous person in that respect. I'm trying to relax myself a little more, not clean it all the time. I see other people's drum carders and they're just like caked full. So I'm gonna put this in perpendicular. I don't want to take too big of a chunk because I don't want to bind it up. But the way this is working is there's, you can see I did this in layers, and I did it in layers just for this reason, so that when I put it on here, all the layers are going to blend together. There's my son. I hope he closes the garage door. So if you look in here, you can kind of separate it out. You see that? So when I lay it this way, it's going to blend those fibers together better. And that's how I typically will do any of my blends for color. And if you're doing straight up wool, it makes it super floofy because you get a really good woolen prep. Now, if you don't want to mess it up, you know, if you're using top and you want to keep it kind of the same direction and don't really want to make it a full-on woolen prep, then you could just slide it in this way repeatedly in line with the top fibers. And I'm going to stop here in just a second. Hopefully I have enough to cover my drum here now. And we'll see how this base layer looks and see how homogenized it's becoming. Take a look at this. Yeah, it's not quite covered yet. Let's add a little bit more on so you can see it better, but I can see it's definitely getting more homogenized. Let's take another strip of this off. Load it up. Looks like we need some here and here. What I'm going to do now is we're going to take a look at this drum and see how it's dispersed. I think I got enough here now, at least I covered it. So let's see what we got. So looking at our doffer strip here, I think we are getting a much better blend, but still need some more. So I'm just going to keep working on this and filling up the tray here, and then I will see you guys back when we take this off and see how we've done with our blending. We are done. This is twice through, so let's get this off of here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to process all of this black and white because I'll have to clean the drum and clean everything really well in between so that I don't get any white on my black. So I'm going to blend all of this before I go back and finish the rest of my black. Pretty good. Alright, let's take a look. Oh, I like it. I can see already that I like it. Look at that. Ooh, I love it. And these might end up being these little pieces. I don't know if I'll be able to spin those, but we're gonna find out. They may give us little nips. We shall see next week. I love it. Look at this. And it is a lot floofier than the other one. And you know, I was putting this on widthwise, and I did notice at one point I was getting a little greedy and I was putting really long width pieces on, and what was happening was those were kind of folding and giving me these kind of funny lines here, which won't be a problem the way I'm planning on spinning this. The only time this kind of stuff would be a problem would be if you were going to try to diz it off your drum carder, then that would be problematic. But as we progressed along, I shortened them up because I realized pretty quickly what was happening. So here we have it. I think it looks quite lovely. Really, really cool. I'm not sure that we need to have those little black fluffs in there. Let's see. These aren't really in. These were just some of the little shortcuts that were left over. See if I can get those off the top here. Yeah, let's get this rolled up. And then we can compare. I can tell you already, this is a lot less dense, and it is much, much softer than the all black, which is 70% dog fur, because the dog fur doesn't really have a lot of volume to it, because it doesn't have scales, and I can't really floof it much more than what it already is. But with the Rambouillet mixed in with this, oh, doesn't that look cool? I love it. So here is the 50-50, and here is the 70 fur 30 merino, 23 micron merino. They both feel really soft. This one, of course, has more loft to it because of the Rambouillet. It's just pouring air fiber. But I think that they are both quite awesome. Let's see, let's open them up too. This one's been folded up for a couple of days, so it's probably not going to be as floofed up. A little flattened, but it'll poof back up in a couple minutes. And then here you can see the difference too in the volume here. Look at the volume difference. This is a lot thicker feeling. I can feel, they're both floofy, but this one is a lot floofier. And this one actually feels a little bit lighter. This one's a little more dense. But both of them I think are awesome. And I think they're gonna look really good in a project together. I'll do a color work project or something. I don't know, I've been trying to think of all these ways to use this before I start spinning so I know how to spin it. Somebody just today suggested to me, one of my friends who, you know, I show her everything I do. She's not a fiber person, but she is genuinely interested in how this is going along. And she had suggested, is there enough to make something for every member of my family? Because we have, you know, my husband and I and our 2 kids. And I thought, oh, that's a good idea. So now I'm trying to think of what I can do. So I'll be scouring patterns over the next couple weeks. But I will see you guys next time. Oh, look at this gray. Oh my gosh, I really like this. It's super duper low. This is gonna spin nice. This one, I may want to up my merino a little bit, although I'm not sure. I want to spin it this way so we can see at least how everything checks out. But I think it's going to be wonderful, whichever way whatever percentage is in here. And I will see you guys next time, and that will be to spin this up. So next week, spinning this up, and you can hear about how the Alpaca Festival went. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, spin happy.